Hey YouTube, this is going to be my review of the Razer Blackwidow Ultimate Stealth Edition. So yeah, it's kind of a long name. They probably could have cut that down a little bit, but you know what, it doesn't really matter. Okay, so basically what I'll do is I'll just talk about it in general, then I'll kind of do some typing tests in the dark, so you can see the backlighting and everything properly. And then I'll come to a conclusion and kind of give you my opinion. So to start with, the keys feel really nice. They've got a really nice kind of matte finish, which is not like rough or anything, but it's not going to collect fingerprints like the original Blackwidow Ultimate would, which was, you know, practically a mirror. This one's much more understated, I'd say. And it's still, you know, it still looks good. It's got the really nice font, which I like, on each key, and they are individually backlit, and my camera does that no justice whatsoever because you can't really see the true colour. It's actually very kind of almost a purpley kind of colour, and it looks really cool. And let me just tell you this, the lowest backlit setting on this is brighter than the highest on my old Cytec V5, I think, keyboard. And I'll kind of show you the different levels. Macro is really useful, these 5 macro keys here. So I've just programmed one to type in my email address, so when I'm filling out long forms and stuff, I just literally just click one button and it instantly fills that in. Really useful. I kind of wish there was dedicated media buttons, but you can't get everything. I mean, I'll probably get used to controlling it with the FN key, that kind of thing. But I mean, so far my impressions are good. So I'll go on to the typing test and then we'll conclude. So now that you've seen that, you can make your own judgments as to kind of how it sounds and feels. I would say that they were kind of right when they said it was, silent, because the actual mechanism of the keys is very quiet. You can actually just this is activating the keys by just pressing them like this. So, and that pretty much makes no noise. That's probably quieter than your average rubber dome keyboard or whatever. But thing is, in actual practice, when you're typing fast, you tend to bottom out the keys a lot because it requires so little force to activate them. So this sound you're actually hearing is not really the actual tactile click of the keys, it's them bottoming out and hitting the bass, which is, it's not a bad thing if you like that. And you do just get a very slight tactile bump, which is cool. Some people may like a bit more, others may not like it at all. For those that really don't like the tactile feel at all, or the sound, then they should probably go for blacks. But they have a very high resistance, so I mean, you're pushing them and you're like, they're very linear, they don't have like a sudden give. They feel the same throughout the whole press, and they require a lot more force. So for general typing, they're probably not the best. For general typing, most people would say that the browns or the blues are the best, because they just require little force and they give you some tactile feedback, so you've actually clicked the keys. Anyway, so number one, so I've got a few pros and a few cons. So the number one con, I'd say, is that it probably could do with a bit more tactile feedback, and this is just personal preference, but I think most people who buy this keyboard, who are kind of looking for the middle ground between the really loud blues and the really resistive kind of browns, blacks, it gives significantly less feedback than the blues, because there's no audible click when you're actually clicking. But there is a kind of a little bump when it gives, which you do kind of know you've clicked. And generally the accuracy on these MX Brown keyboards is much higher than the blues, so maybe that's not so much of a con, it's just a personal opinion. Next thing is, it's not really quiet. You can probably hear from the camera, typing on this thing, probably a lot quieter than its predecessor, but really it's not by no means is it quiet. Standard typing will be louder than pretty much all average keyboards, but it feels good, and it's not enough to wake up sleeping people or whatever. Third thing, I'd just say that it would be nice if they had a dedicated media keys, for those people who quickly want to adjust volume or that kind of thing. Last keyboard I had them there. It's easier, you really quickly want to mute something if someone's trying to talk to you or something, you've got to fiddle around and kind of fumble your way around. It could, probably get used to it over time, but it would be nice to get some dedicated media. Maybe just pop them on the top or something, like they've got on the Sidewinder Microsoft one. And I did have a couple of issues while I was setting it up. The keyboard, it wouldn't actually stop registering my clicks, and I had actually downloaded the right software. And what I had to do, I had to reboot and then uninstall the drivers and then reinstall them, and for some reason that made it work. And now we'll move on to the more positives, and there are quite a lot of them. So firstly, it's a very solid keyboard, and it feels really heavy, which is, it's really good. It's not going to move around while you're gaming or typing or whatever you're doing. It's going to sit there. It's got the really nice matte finish, which I like, and I'm the kind of guy who would just hate fingerprints. I'd constantly be trying to wipe them off and everything. I just wouldn't be able to deal with that, so I'm really happy that it's a matte finish, and it does look, if not, as good, if not better, than the normal Ultimate. The individual backlit keys you can really tell it's very even lighting and it's very bright. You probably saw when I was typing in the dark how bright it was, but remember, this camera doesn't do it any justice, and it looks just really awesome when it's on full brightness. It's not going to blind you, but it's the brightest keyboard I've seen by far. which is something that most people are gonna really like. You know, those people who like all the flashy colours and everything, and it's pretty impressive just to look at, really. So it's nice to type on. There's I think it's a 45-gram actuation force, which is really quite good. So I've moved from a Cytec V5, and now that felt fine when I was using it, but now when I go back to that, it feels very mushy and very resistive. This just, you know, it flows more. It's probably a little bit stiffer than the original Blackwidow, which I used in a shop, but if, say, this is your first mechanical keyboard, which it is mine, you probably won't notice at all, and I think it feels really nice to type on. It won't fatigue you at all. You know, you write for 2-3 hours, I think you'll be fine on this. Because, I mean, it may take a bit of getting used to because it's just such little force needed. So you'll find at the start you might end up clicking loads of keys that you didn't mean to accidentally. But that's all, you know, I think within a week you'll be pretty much sorted on that field. I like the fact that, you know, it is good for pretty much everything. It's kind of the middle ground between the really clicky-clacky blues, which are really not good for those people who like to game, or, you know, they're stealthy and they don't like the whole, you know, the noisiness of it. You know, if you're trying to hear your sound and you've got all this clickiness in the background, then most people who play games won't like that. The blacks are like the typist enemy, really. You know, with 70 grams of actuation force, they really do strain your hands after probably anything more than about 20 minutes for me. So they're not very good for typing. I'd say but a lot of people do like blacks for gaming. So I'd say these are middle ground, you know. They've not got the really clickiness of the blues, but they've got, you know, a slightly more balanced feel to them, for want of a better way of putting that. And so yeah, that pretty much concludes it. I would really totally recommend this keyboard. I mean, they actually shipped it from the Netherlands, and it arrived to me in the UK 2 days after I ordered it, which is pretty awesome. I wasn't expecting it, maybe for a week or something. I mean, I've heard some people have had longer shipping times, but for me the experience was pretty awesome. And yeah, macros work really well. So I mean, you can also switch modes, so the software is really easy to use, and you know, I didn't read any manuals or anything, and I just got stuck in once I'd sorted out the software issues. So yeah, thanks for watching. Rate, subscribe, comment, and yeah.